A 9-to-5 office slave worker, Truck Kun decided to take him on a date after work. But now he is the strongest ever and made his own harem. The story tells about a young man who was sitting in front of his computer inside a company, and did not stop working until all his colleagues left and only he remained. And after finishing work late, he was walking on his way home while he was so absent-minded that he did not notice the urban signal, which led to a car crashing into him and killing him as a result. He ends up moving to another world where he is resurrected in the body of a baby. The carriage he is riding with his family is attacked by demons and he is the only survivor. An old man named Merlin finds him and decides to take care of him and treat him like a grandson, naming him Shin. After 8 years, Shin adapted to life in his new world, and although he has memories of his previous life, he does not remember how he died, and he still has the same ugly face and ridiculous hairstyle, and he gained the ability to use magic thanks to Merlin and used it to hunt different animals from the forests. Merlin admired his hunting skills and wanted to know his level of fire magic, and when he told him to set fire to the firewood near them, he didn't hesitate to light it. Melinda and Michael, Merlin's friends, joined them, and Melinda was shocked to hear that Shin had caught a boar and was worried about him. But he told her that everything was fine thanks to the magic shoes they made together. But she didn't believe that an 8-year-old boy would go chasing a wild boar. Merlin told her that Shin had become so adept at using magic that the forest had become one big zoo for him, and Michael, who was in charge of his training, decided to increase the difficulty of the training once he realized that he could hunt boars. 2 years later, Shin was 10 years old, and while walking with his grandfather in the forest, he was surprised when Merlin told him it was time to start practicing hunting demons, violent beings who ended up like this after losing control of their magical powers. Then he remembered when someone turned into a demon and almost destroyed the entire town if he hadn't intervened. Since then, Merlin has been considered a hero by the people, and when they reach the edge, he asked Shin to find a demon by spreading his magical power. Shin used his power to spread his magic widely, and Merlin was surprised to find that he could sense the energy of all beings around him until he found a demon that he recognized by its dark aura. While Merlin was surprised that he could use this technique for the first time, Shin decides to use his magic sword and attacks the demon without listening to Merlin's directions and manages to defeat it and knock it down with just 2 blows. Merlin then remembered some scenes about what happened in the past, but his thoughts were interrupted by Shin's voice wondering if he had succeeded in defeating the demon in the right way, and he told him that he had done it perfectly. In the evening, Merlin met with his companions and told them what happened in the morning and that Shin was able to take down a demon bear without his help. Melinda was impressed by how quickly he learned magic and could keep up with Michael in a duel, which made her suspect that he might have come from another world. Merlin tells them that he doesn't care about his original identity, having already made up his mind to take care of him and treat him as his grandson. Melinda can't believe she's hearing this coming out of the mouth of someone formerly known as the Lord of Destruction, and tells him that she loves Shin just as much as he does. The next day, Shin fell exhausted after his training with Michael, and his grandfather told him that Michael had become more cruel than before. But Merlin told him that he wanted to talk to him about something important, and when they were alone, Merlin told him that he was not his blood grandson and apologized for not telling him earlier. After his grandfather told him what happened that day and how he found him, Shin wondered if the demon bear he had killed yesterday had done it, and felt satisfied that he had succeeded in avenging his family. Merlin told him that he couldn't recognize his parents because their features had been distorted by the demon. He was surprised to find that Shin was not upset about what had happened to his family. He told him that he didn't remember them and didn't care about anything as long as he was with him, and told him that he never felt lonely because he and his companions were always by his side. Then he began to express his gratitude for taking him in and taking care of him since he was young. And when he told him that he considered him as his grandfather, Merlin couldn't help himself and started crying like an annoying child. And 5 years later, Shin became 15 years old, and the similarity between his life now and his previous life is still his ridiculous face, as if he had retained his ugly features from the original world. When he got together with everyone, they decided to celebrate his coming of age with a special banquet for him. Then someone named Decium asked him what he was going to do after he turned 15, and Shin thought that he had never left the forest, so he decided to go one day to visit the city next to them. Siegfried asked him if there was anything else on his mind. Christina gave him a chance to join the royal guard or become a demon hunter. When he wondered about it, the merchant Tom told him that there is a group called the Demon Hunter Community that receives many rewards for constantly defeating demons. Siegfried then told him that he could also become a magic equipment dealer using his skill in magic. Shin was impressed that he had so many opportunities to choose the right profession for him and thought that since he was an adult, he should make his own money and learn how to spend it. Everyone was surprised by the fact that he had never gone shopping before, while Merlin was embarrassed that he had forgotten to teach him some life lessons and focused entirely on enhancing his magical skills. Shin then took them all to the magical training ground via teleportation, and when Michael wondered why they were here, Merlin told him that he wanted Shin to cast a certain spell in front of them without anything around them. Shin summoned blue fire in the form of a crystal resting on his palm and, to everyone's amazement, released it at a certain point, causing a loud explosion similar to that of an atomic bomb. then turned to everyone and told them that this was the best he could do. Melinda was furious and started scolding Merlin for not teaching him to be discreet about his skills. He told her that he couldn't restrain himself and wanted to see what he could do. When they turned back, they realized that it was dangerous to send Shin to the outside world now, as he would be coveted by many because of his skills and could cause a catastrophe. Disium had an idea and suggested to Merlin that he enroll him in the Magic Academy. Merlin immediately realized that he was proposing this in order to bring Shin into his country. Disium swore that he would not use him for military use because he did not want to involve him in the country's conflicts. When Shin inquired about the academy, Disium told him that it was an educational place for high school students who wanted to develop their magical skills, and that he would be able to discover his skills better when he joined and would have many friends his own age. Shin didn't mind joining the academy, and Disium told him that he would have to take an entrance exam in order to get into the academy since he can't use his influence due to the academy's strict rules, and Shin was curious to know what position he holds when he mentioned the influence thing, and Disium told him that he is the king of the Airshield Kingdom. Shin was shocked that he was sharing the same table as the king. But before he could process it, Christina told him that she was one of his royal guards, and Siegfried told him that he was a magician from the Magic Court Department and had come as an escort for Disium. Shin wanted to know more about the others, and when he asked Michael, he replied that he was once the captain of the knights. And Melinda returned to blame Merlin for not teaching him anything at all. Then Shin was curious about the relationship between the king and his grandfather. Disium told him that Merlin had defeated a demon, and that the battle had taken place in his country, and that the demon had wiped out an entire city. At that time, the kingdom decided to recruit its students, and Disium was a student at the Academy of Magic as the crown prince. Disium then volunteered for the demon subjugation squad to fight the demon. But when he was on the verge of death after the demon killed all his comrades, Merlin and Melinda appeared and got rid of it by combining their powers and became the heroes who saved the kingdom. Disium was impressed that Shin's manner of dealing with him had not changed despite knowing his position. Shin told him that he had only thought of him as an uncle in the past, and Disium felt that he was the only person he could talk to comfortably. Shin then admired that Merlin and Melinda were band members, but was quickly shocked when Christina told him that they had been a couple in the past. Half a month later, Shin was on his way to the royal capital with Merlin and Melinda to enroll in the Magic Academy, and they decided to live together in Merlin's house in the capital during his time at the academy. They arrived at the gate, and as soon as the guard looked at the grandparents' ID cards, he couldn't believe he was standing in front of the wise man and the wise woman, and his voice was so loud that the residents of the capital realized that the war heroes had arrived and ended up seeing a huge crowd heading towards them to meet them. Then Shin arrived with them at the house and was surprised to find that it was a palace and many servants greeted them. The butler introduced himself as Steve, and the butler was named Marika, and Merlin and Melinda realized that Disium had sent them. Merlin then asked Shin to take a tour of the city for a while, and then Shin ended up in the market and was happy that he had bought something for the first time in his new life and wandered between the different stores until he realized that he had lost his way. And when he stood in an alley, he found a group of people harassing a girl and decided to go to help her. When he approached them, they looked at him funny and told him not to try to play the hero in front of the girl. One of them told him that they were hunters who protect the country by eliminating demons, but Shin didn't care and called them evil, which made them angry and attacked him. The girl went to him to make sure he was okay, and he told her that he used their skills against them and it was no big deal. And while he was talking to her, he was surprised to see another girl with blue hair approaching him and thanking him for helping them, which made him blush and almost faint from the beauty of her. The two girls introduced themselves to him, where the girl he saved tells him that her name is Maria, while the other girl is known as Cicely. Then Maria expresses her dissatisfaction with their lack of magic, which is why they were unable to defeat the bullies. Shin realizes that they are students at the academy, but Maria tells him that they have to pass an entrance exam next month. When he tells them that he will become their classmate at the academy, Maria is surprised that he wants to become a magician even though he has many physical skills that qualify him to become a knight. Shin shook her hand and told her that the three of them should try their best to get into the academy. When he wanted to shake Cicely's hand, he found her blushing and thought that he might have overdone it, but she did her best to shake his hand. When she asked him if he had enrolled in middle school, he told her that he had just arrived in the capital. She told him about Merlin and Melinda being back in town, and Shin decided to play dumb and listen to Maria's exaggerated praise of them. He wants to ask her if she's sure they're the heroes who defeated the demon in the past. She replies that they are, and that they have a grandson who's going to the academy, and she starts imagining what kind of man he is. Shin feels like he's in trouble because everyone already knows about him. Shin decides to leave quickly and try to go home. After he leaves, Maria admires his skills and that he is not arrogant despite his strength, while Cicely stares at him absent-mindedly, as if she fell in love with him at first sight. A month later, Shin went to take the entrance exam to the academy, and was surprised to find that there were many other applicants. He thought that he had to pass the exam so that he could see Cicely again. As he was checking his name on the list of applicants, someone appeared behind him and called him scum and told him to move aside, but he paid no attention to him and continued to look for the hall's location. Shin twisted his arm and knocked him into the ground, and showed her annoyance by putting a hand on his shoulder without warning. The boy was furious and told him that he was the heir of Count Ritzberg and his name was Kurt. Shin didn't care about his position and told him his name as if he wanted to recognize him. Kurt was furious and vowed not to let him get away with it. But then a boy who seemed to have a position within the academy intervened and told Kurt that using power within the academy was forbidden and forced him to leave after ordering him not to do anything to cause inconvenience to his classmates. After his departure, the boy admires Shin's response style and tells him that he is indifferent to the people around him. When Shin asks him about his identity, he tells him that his name is August, and Shin is soon surprised when he hears his last name and realizes that he is Decium's son. Everyone around him was shocked that he was talking to Prince August in a friendly manner, while August smiled and told him that no one had ever called him cousin Decium before, as he was used to everyone fawning over him as soon as they knew his social status. On the other hand, Maria and Cicely were surprised to see him chatting casually with the prince. But what was really on Maria's mind was Kurt's joining the academy, and after a while everyone took the theoretical and practical entrance test, and Shin was excited to see someone his age using magic. But he was shocked to find everyone using magic and chanting. Despite everyone's best efforts, their magical powers are very weak in the eyes of Shin, who was distraught at the level of the students, which is lower than he expected, and when it was his turn, he found the test supervisor asking him to keep his power under control by order of the king himself. Shin decided to use a small flame of blue fire, and although he was restraining his power enough, his attack caused a loud explosion that left everyone in shock, and Shin was relieved that the supervisor was not angry with him. In the evening, the academy administration gave him the highest average score on this year's exam because of how strong he was. The next day, Shin felt honored to pass the exam and was accompanied by August. He went to pick up his uniform and books from the reception, and the supervisor told him that he would give a speech on behalf of the new students at the reception ceremony as he had the highest score. Shin tried to get out of it by having August give the speech, but August told him that they can't break the academy's traditions for any reason and he can't use his influence. So Shin felt he was in trouble and had no way out. Maria was furious that she failed to get the highest grade point average because of him, while Cicely was impressed by his physical and magical strength. Maria suggested that she go talk to him, but she felt awkward and thought about doing it later when she thought about what she wanted to say to him. In the evening, Kurt was furious that he had been classified as an E student after the test, and even more furious that Shin, who had humiliated him in front of everyone, had gotten the highest score and vowed to take revenge on him someday. In the meantime, Shin found that his school uniform was equipped with defensive magic and thought to modify the magic by rewriting it, equipping his uniform with absolute defensive magic, physical shock absorption, and the ability to convert magic into kinetic energy. Shin screamed with happiness that he had succeeded in rewriting the magic without any glitches, much to the dismay of Melinda, who burst into the room to see why he was screaming so late. He told her that he got his school uniform after he passed the entrance exam, much to her shock. The next day, Melinda told him not to tell anyone about his uniform and the modifications he had made. But the three of them were soon in a mess after people recognized them outside the academy. August noticed Shin's nervousness and told him that all the dignitaries would be attending the reception today and asked him to make sure to give an inspiring speech. When they entered the auditorium with the others, Shin went up on stage to give his speech. Maria and Cicely were surprised when the supervisor said his full name from the fact that he was the grandson of Merlin and Melinda. After the entrance ceremony, the new students were assigned to classes and Shin ended up being placed in an S-rated class with Maria, Cicely, and August. After class, Maria tells him that Cicely wants to talk to him about a young man trying to get close to her while she continues to reject him, and she ends up being threatened by him for using his family's influence. And when he asks who this person is, Maria tells him that he is a student at the academy. Kurt appears behind them while they're talking and starts talking rudely to Cicely in front of everyone. He keeps threatening her that he can make her father lose his job if she doesn't listen to him. Shin gets angry and tells her that he will protect her, but August soon intervenes and tells him that he is insulting the royal family with his behavior inside the academy. Kurt was confused and had to leave without causing trouble. When Shin told him he was about to lose his cool, August was excited to see what he would have done if he hadn't intervened and admired his courage in wanting to protect Cicely, which made them feel embarrassed. Shin then told her to be careful and it occurred to him to invite them all to his house. Maria was excited to see his grandparents and went to tell her parents. August didn't mind going, but unfortunately, guards appeared out of nowhere and told him they would escort him. Shin then introduced his colleagues to Merlin and Melinda and told them that he wanted to rework the defensive magic on Cicely's costume after he told them what happened at the academy. Melinda realized that he was serious about protecting her and asked Cicely if she was worthy enough for him to want to protect her so much. Then she told them that this uniform was a national treasure and priceless protective device. Cicely realized that she was not worthy of Shin's protection, so she apologized and told them that she had tricked him into thinking that he would sympathize with her and help her when she came to him, which made her feel happy. As she was about to leave in tears, Melinda stopped her and told her that she was sure of her intentions when she justified her situation. Then Shin told her that she did not do anything to deceive him, but he was the one who took the initiative to help her and asked her not to refuse his initiative. After Cicely left with Melinda, Merlin felt frustrated that he was useless because his wife took over while he didn't realize the girl was trying to use him, and told Shin that Cicely would have been heartbroken if he had added his magic to her costume. Melinda, on the other hand, gave Cicely other clothes and admired her honesty at her age, telling her that she was happy that Shin had helped her and that she decided not to just keep quiet. Shin then reworked the magic on the costume and told them that it could not protect her from surprise attacks because it required a certain amount of power to activate, and it did not extend to the areas not covered by the costume, leaving her arms, head, and legs vulnerable. The king asked him to keep his magic a secret, as it could cause a catastrophe if his magic spread outside, and a major war could break out if the army found out about it, so Shin felt worried and decided to be careful from now on. In the evening, Shin finished casting his magic on the clothes of all his classmates, and then decided to take them to the house where he lived with Merlin before he joined the academy by teleportation. Then he told them about his technique and that he can use it in places he has visited before, and they all realized how powerful he is and that he is not to be underestimated. The next day, Shin was on his way to the academy with Maria and Cicely, using his magic spreading technique to make sure it was safe around them, when he found Cicely apologizing to him for taking the trouble of taking her to the academy and bringing her home every day. Cicely blushed and felt happy that he cared about her, while Maria felt like vomiting when she saw them like this. After they arrived, August greeted them and sarcastically commented that Shin had managed to get 2 girls on his first day of school. While they were talking, their classmate Alice suddenly appeared out of nowhere, and when Maria asked her why she was late, she told her that she was so excited about the first day of school that she had insomnia, but took a nap at the last minute. Alfred then entered the classroom and decided to give them a tour of the academy after class. When it was time for the tour, he told them that the academy is divided into a classroom building and a building that contains the faculty offices, the student council room, and the rest of the activities. Then he added that there are what are known as group study groups that look like clubs, such as the Attack Magic Group, the Lifestyles Group that produces magical equipment for students, and the Body Language Group that uses strength enhancement magic. Shin noticed how excited Julius was when he heard about the Body Language Club, and that he would have joined if he hadn't been assigned to guard August, so August didn't mind and told him to go if he really wanted to. When Julius was convinced of the idea, he felt triumphant that he could free himself from one of his guards and get some privacy. Then Alice wondered which group Shin would like to join, and when he told her that he hadn't decided yet, August realized that he wasn't excited about any group. He suggested that Shin create his own group, and the teacher supported the idea, and some of his classmates told him that they wanted to join him as soon as it was established, so Shin wondered about the requirements for creating a new group. Alfred told him that the group must have a minimum of 5 members and a faculty advisor, then submitted a group application form, then decided to become their advisor, and everyone started planning the group without giving Shin the opportunity to approve or disapprove. His colleague Rin ended up suggesting that the group should specialize in teaching all types of magic and called it the Absolute Magic Group, and everyone except Shin liked the idea. Meanwhile, Decium was in the middle of a meeting with his followers, discussing the reasons for the increase in the number of demons in the past period. One of his followers, Dominic, found that the daily rate of demon appearances was reported to be slight, but that it had been gradually increasing unnoticed and speculated that the increase was deliberate. The minister rejected the idea that the demons were man-made, while Decium decided to start recruiting hunters to investigate the matter thoroughly. On the other hand, Kurt came out of his room and found his father talking to him in an angry tone, telling him that he had received a summons from the king, and they thought he had been summoned for using his authority within the academy, which made his father reprimand him. Kurt tells him that he thinks they are the chosen ones and it's not appropriate for a member of their family to be treated like a commoner. He gradually loses his temper and complains about how everyone despises him despite his social status. He blames Shin for the fact that nothing has gone well since his appearance at the academy and vows not to let him mess up his life anymore. He is surprised when his father slaps him to come to his senses and decides to punish him by locking him in his room. The next day, everyone learns that Kurt has been punished by the academy, and when Shin asks why he's acting this way, the August guards tell him that they went to the same school in middle school, and his behavior was different back then, but started to change after he started going to Mr. Oliver's lab. Thor said that Oliver moved to the school as a magic teacher in the 3rd year, claiming to have been exiled from the Empire, and invited everyone to visit his lab, but they refused his invitation when they felt suspicious, as he wears a patch covering both eyes but acts as if he can see. In the meantime, Kurt's mother went to Oliver's lab to ask for his help regarding her son, and he told her that he would go to talk to him, feeling proud that his plan to control him had succeeded. And when he went to Kurt's room, he told him that he was in a terrible situation despite being a special person. Kurt was furious and told him that he still failed to get the girl he wanted because of Shin. So Oliver decided to help him by giving him some of his evil powers and told him to make sure to teach Shin an unforgettable lesson. The next day, Shin was with his buddies in the food court and August asked him what he was going to do about getting back and forth from the academy after Kurt was locked up in his house, and he realized that there was no reason for him to accompany Cicely every day, which made her feel frustrated. Then he remembered that their houses were in the same direction, so he would have to accompany her even if it wasn't for her protection. And he was surprised when she excitedly told him that she didn't mind, and quickly blushed after catching herself. August thought it would be fun to go to the academy with the guys, and Cicely and Maria are great girls who might get in the way of some obnoxious people, so they should have some protection. Shin thought it would be easy to tell if someone had a grudge against them with his magic, and everyone wondered if any of them had ever caught a demon before. Thor told him that they had just graduated from middle school, and it was impossible for any of them to catch a demon at that age. So he began to explain to them the nature of the magical power of demons and how to detect them. And then everyone was surprised when he told them that he caught a demon when he was 10 years old, in addition to being in the form of a bear, and everyone ended up staring at him in a state of amazement. After that, everyone went to a class to help them choose the right group. But it felt like a waste of time since they had already decided to join Shin's group. And as they were walking, Shin felt an eerie energy flowing towards them. When he looked towards the forest, he saw Kurt standing with a fiery aura expressing his rage and did not hesitate to launch a thunderous attack towards them. But Shin blocked him and ordered everyone to use the defense magic in their clothes to take cover. The ball of flame burns Shin's hand, but he quickly heals himself with the healing magic in his costume, and realizing that Kurt wants to finish them off right here and now, August decides to report what just happened to the Academy's administration. Kurt's rage continued to grow until he became more and more like a zombie and gradually began to turn into a demon. When Shin realized this, he asked August to take everyone and run away. August was surprised at his intention to face him alone and decided to help him. Shin refused, not wanting to put his life in danger since he had never hunted a demon before, so August realized that they would be an obstacle in his way, and took everyone away from the battlefield. And when Shin made sure the place was cleared, he prepared to receive Kurt's attacks with his magic. Shin was able to dodge his thunderous attack and then tried to stop him with some magic projectiles, but found that he had taken too much damage. Then he was surprised that Kurt was able to speak even after he turned into a demon and continued to get up again. Then Shin had to stun him and realized that he hadn't turned into a full demon when he felt the pain. So he decided to think of a way to turn him back into a human again and approached Kurt to try to control his magic. But he surprised him by summoning his magical energy to create an explosion. He tried to stop him with a magical attack, but to no avail, and when he realized that he was about to annihilate everyone with his explosion, he decided to use his sword to get rid of him instead of saving him and asked him to forgive him before he finished him off with one blow. Shin lets go of his sword, feeling ashamed that it was the first time he had caused someone to die. Then his companions returned to him again, stunned that he had managed to take down a demon in front of their eyes, and he kept staring at him, wondering if there was another way to solve the matter, as he would not want to eliminate him even if he was a demon. The next day, Oliver observes what happened inside the academy and finds that his experiment has paid off, but he needs someone who can defeat Shin. While Shin is distracted, August and the others join him and tell him that everyone thinks of him as a hero after what he did. Thor told him that a great sorcerer had been turned into a demon before because of his misuse of magic, and August said that anyone who fails to control their magic will end up like Kurt, no matter what their situation. Shin couldn't help but think that someone was capable of turning people into demons, since what happened to Kurt didn't match what his grandfather had told him in the past about demons, and he was too weak for a demon, suggesting that he had been used in an experiment. After that, Shin returned home with his companions and found King Decium there to surprise Shin by receiving the first order of merit after he succeeded in defeating the demon Kurt. While Merlin felt angry because Decium had already promised him that his grandson would not be used for political purposes, he told them that the news had spread quickly among the population in a short time, so he had to be publicly honored, as he had done something as heroic as he and Melinda had done in the past, and vowed to do his best to prevent anyone from trying to use Shin. To everyone's surprise, Decium bowed before them to allow Shin to accept his honor. Merlin agreed to his request and warned him that they would leave the kingdom if he broke his promise, while Shin was surprised that Melinda scolded him for causing trouble wherever he went. The next day, Shin became very popular among everyone after he seemed to be known to them as the hero who defeated the devil, and the girls noticed that he was walking with Maria and Cicely, and they suspected that one of them was his fiancée. And Cicely blushed just by imagining it. Shin apologized to them for making them the talk of everyone in public. Cicely told him that she decided to stay with him willingly and was not upset about what was happening around them, and he realized that she was telling him the same thing he had told her that day. In the meantime, Alfred was suffering because all the students were begging him to join Shin's group. But he couldn't get all the students in one group, so he decided to ask them a miraculous question. When he asked them if any of them could use dimensional magic, they all fell silent. Relieved, he tells them that this is the minimum requirement to be allowed to join Shin's group. While on the other side, Decium meets with his entourage and tells them what he's learned about someone turning people into demons. Decium decides to assign Dominic and Dennis to investigate the matter thoroughly. On the other side, Shin meets two new students whom Alfred has allowed to join his club, Mark and Olivia, who are basically childhood friends. When Olivia told them about her family, they were impressed that she belongs to the family that owns the Wood Oven restaurant, which is famous for its delicious food, so she offered to visit the restaurant anytime and serve them. When Shin found out that Mark belonged to a famous blacksmith family, He asked him if he could make some weapons, and he told him that he was not very good at it and barely succeeded in making knives, although Shin asked him to make a new weapon for him. Mark was shocked and told him that he had a sword that could slay demons and there was no way he could make something as powerful. Shin said that he was using an ordinary sword and had enchanted it with magic to make the blade vibrate at ultrasonic speeds. He then gave Mark the sword and asked him to make some improvements to the blade so that it wouldn't shatter so easily later on. Mark was confident and decided to make a new one for him. On the other side, detectives Alt and Carlos started investigating the Kurt incident and went to Oliver's lab. When they asked what happened to his eyes, he told them that he had been severely beaten in a power struggle, lost his eyes when a member of his family attacked him, and ended up being exiled to this kingdom despite being from a noble family. Alt felt sorry for him and apologized for his question. Oliver asked why they had come in the first place and told him that they had come to investigate the members of his group of students whose powers had been enhanced by his magic, and that he was inviting more students to join his group. He told them that he was a gentleman and needed to show tangible results to prove himself at the academy, which made many students witness the improvement of their magical abilities regardless of what happened to Kurt. So Alt thought to ask him a favor: join the team of specialists assigned to examine Kurt's demonic body to find out the cause of his transformation. And Oliver did not hesitate to agree to their request. In the evening, Shin was having dinner with his friends at the academy, and while he was distracted, he was interrupted by Cicely's voice. He told her that he was thinking of a way to improve his sword, and when Mark asked him about the requirements of his new sword, he told him that he wanted a thin blade, although that would cause it to break easily and he would have difficulty carrying it. Alice tells him that he is the grandson of the elders, which makes him able to buy unlimited equipment whenever he wants. He tells her in frustration that he doesn't have much money after Melinda told Merlin not to give him too much until he learns to spend it sensibly. He was surprised when Tony suggested he make his blade interchangeable, which would allow him to use the sword more often and repair it more cheaply. Shin and Mark thought his idea was genius, and they all ended up heading to Mark's blacksmith shop. After that, the two detectives arrived with Oliver to where Kurt was, and Oliver wondered that the examination would take place in this place. And when they reached a battlefield, he ended up surrounded by knights, and then Alt told him that they would examine him after a special order from the king, as he made one mistake, which was mentioning the name of the person who turned into a demon, and told him that the king ordered them not to reveal the identity of the convert so that his family would not receive harsh treatment by society. But since he knows his name, it means that he is the one who turned him into a demon. Oliver burst out laughing because he was caught so easily, and when Alt asked him what he was doing turning people into demons, he simply replied that he was conducting experiments, and now he had finished his experiments inside the kingdom. So Alt ordered his followers to arrest him immediately. Meanwhile, Shin and his companions were on their way to Mark's workshop when suddenly there was a loud explosion near them. When they looked at the source of the explosion, they found Oliver standing in front of them, and Shin was able to recognize him based on his companion's description of him. They were all surprised when Alt told them to run away, and that he was the cause of Kurt's accident. Oliver didn't deny it and told them that he was a good puppet for his experiments. Shin was furious and attacked him, but Oliver easily blocked him. Then he surprised him from behind and managed to evade his blow at the last moment and managed to recognize that he was holding a magic sword and continued to dodge Shin's successive attacks until he used earth magic and then flew into the air, which made Shin stunned because flying is against the rules of magic according to his knowledge. Oliver sarcastically marveled that the grandson of the wise man could not use the magic of flight, so Shin rushed at him and tried to hit him with his sword and succeeded in inflicting serious damage on him, which made Oliver furious and used so much of his power to block him that his eye patch shattered. And then Shin saw what his red eyes looked like and realized that he was a demon with the ability to control himself. Oliver blamed him for wanting to leave without revealing his identity, and told him that now that he had been exposed, humans were insignificant beings to him and it made no difference whether they died or lived. Shin tried to stop him with all his attacks, but to no avail, and Oliver felt that he was afraid, and his fear is what drives him and makes him foolish in front of everyone. And when he thought he succeeded in dodging his attack, he was shocked to see a bright light penetrating his body and causing him to vanish into nothingness. Afterward, everyone was stunned to find the ground turned to glass from the heat of the magical attack, while Shin searched for Oliver with his sensors but couldn't find him. And while he was thinking, the king's followers came towards him and expressed their gratitude for saving everyone. They introduce themselves and Dominic tells him that he's heard a lot about him from Michael, while Robert is curious about how he was able to defeat Oliver. He simply tells them that he focused on the sunlight and treated it as heat rays. When he tries to explain it to them, he finds that they have a hard time understanding how his abilities work and can't believe that his skill caused such a huge explosion. Meanwhile, Oliver miraculously survives Shin's thunderous attack and is angered by the fact that he was able to harm him and decides to take measures to ensure that he doesn't get in his way again. One day everyone was at Shin's house and Melinda was curious about the relationship between him and Cicely, so she went to ask Maria, who told her that there was an emotional connection between them. But Cicely hadn't yet realized that what she felt for him was love, as she hadn't been in a relationship with anyone yet. After that, Shin and his companions were heading towards Mark's blacksmith shop and August noticed that he was frowning all the time and told him that he was thinking that Oliver might still be alive, as the effect of his explosion on the floor was strange because it was not the same when he tried his ability in the desert, and he guessed that something happened to distract him. August told him to order everything he needed when they arrived at the workshop and promised him that the royal family would support him because he was the only one who could beat Oliver. Mark took them to his father Harold, who was busy at work and was furious at his son's constant calls to him. But he was soon shocked to realize that the king's son was in his workshop and knelt in front of him to apologize for his rudeness. August then tells him to help Shin develop his weapon, and when he realizes that he is the grandson of the two heroic sages who defeated the demon that recently appeared, he agrees to help him immediately. On the other side, in the Empire of Bulgovia, a spy named Zest was collecting information about the kingdom through a collaborator inside it, and he told the ruler that the kingdom is full of chaos due to the spread of demons, and the ruler realized that this could be his opportunity to conquer the kingdom and annex it to his empire. After Shin finished explaining the details of his new weapon to Harold, he returned to his companions again. Then he was curious about the goods that Olivia sells, and when he found that she sells household items and supplies, he asked Cicely if she would like to buy something specific. Cicely blushed when she thought he might buy her a ring or something, so he told her that he was thinking of combining tools with defensive magic, which made Cicely feel frustrated because she thought he wanted to gift her something and ended up being scolded by his companions. After Shin realized his mistake, he decided to compensate her and told her to choose whatever accessories she wanted. She felt confused and asked him to choose something for her because she couldn't decide, so he chose a special ring, and when the time came to put it on her finger, they were both very embarrassed. But after Shin put the ring on her finger, Cicely felt happy as if she had become his wife, so Shin held her hand and told her that this ring would keep her safe at all times. A few days later, Shin prepared to attend an awards ceremony and was nervous before going outside the waiting room. When he went to the hall, he was surprised to see an honorary corridor and could not believe that he would receive a special honor from King to see him as a hero. The king awarded Shin the first order of merit and then surprised him by telling everyone who he was and revealed his promise to his grandfather that he would not use him for political or military gain or the entire family would leave the kingdom, and he deliberately announced this promise to prove his sincerity. The next day, Shin felt exhausted from yesterday's festivities, and when he went outside the palace, he found a large crowd in front of him. As soon as they saw him in front of them, they rushed towards him, so he quickly closed the door. And Maria told him that the people wanted to celebrate him because the king did not present him to them during the honors. Shin realizes that he can only get to the academy by teleporting, and when he arrives, he is surprised to see Yuri standing right in front of him and almost collides with her, while the others are surprised that he can teleport anywhere. He told them what happened in front of his house and that he had to use it to get to the academy. When they wanted to understand more about his ability, he thought he'd set up a training camp for them and force them to go through grueling training. Then he gathered them in the classroom and explained that he wanted to improve their level to prepare them for what was to come by discovery, and developing each one's ability to control their magic so that they could use advanced magic. Some of them felt it would be difficult, but Shin told them that all they needed was magical power to serve as fuel. He then decided to put it into practice and asked Maria to create a barrier around everyone. When she used it, Shin found that her barrier was thin and could not withstand a large amount of magic. Then he asked Cicely to use the defense magic with her ring, and then they were surprised that her barrier consisted of 2 layers. He tells them that her barrier is supported by magic that he controls to gather the magical power needed to form the 2 layers, and remembers when Oliver was able to block his attack with a similar barrier, and then decides to show them some of the magical power that he can control. He told them that if they couldn't control this kind of power, they would never advance, and decided to train them in magic control every day from now on. On the other side, Oliver was receiving the necessary treatment in Balsvia, and realized that the kingdom was preparing for war based on the report of their spy Zest. When he asked his subordinate Miria what was coming, she told him that it was hard to predict, so he ordered everyone to prepare for the next step. After that, Shin returned home and Merlin was surprised to see many of his companions with him, so he told him that he could not return the traditional way because of the fans and had to use the portal again. And when Merlin learned that he would oversee the training of his companions in magic control, they thought that at this rate they would be second-generation students of Merlin since he was the one who taught him magic. And he told them that Shin has a way to prepare for the next step. He told them that Shin has his own way of visualizing things though, as he visualizes the process, not the results, which makes him a different magician than the rest. Shin was then surprised that he finally succeeded in opening his own portal, and Merlin told him that he finally managed to do it thanks to his demonstration. Then he told everyone that they can use Shin's magic if they master the control of their magical powers while understanding the mechanisms and combining them together. In the evening, Melinda told him that she knows very well that he learned how to create a portal for Shin since every time he uses magic, he feels like a stranger, but by telling everyone that they can use his magic, Shin will no longer feel lonely. The next day, everyone was surprised when Rin entered the classroom, looking different than usual. She told them that her magic had gotten out of control while she was trying to control it at home. Shin wondered if she had caused the destruction of things around her, so she told him that they had a training room at home, as her father is a court magician. After that, they all went to the workshop to see the prototype of Shin's weapon, which he liked after trying it. After a while, August thought about making a large number of swords similar to his sword for the army. But Shin told him that Melinda would not be happy about that. He told him that it would not be similar to his sword in terms of mechanism, but it would be the same size and shape, and if they produced large quantities of it, they would be able to strengthen weapons at a lower cost. So Shin decided to take Tony's approval first, since this weapon was his idea in the first place. Then it occurred to him to ask August why he wanted the army to have such a weapon, and August told him that a war may be imminent against the Bolshevik Empire, and they may be recruited if the army needs reinforcements. He then added that he doesn't intend to force him to fight this war with their army, but Shin told him that he wouldn't mind going to the battlefield if everyone is in danger because he wants to protect his friends at all times. The next day, Governor Harold of Balsvia was surprised by the fact that the kingdom was busy eliminating demons and wasn't in a position to send troops to attack them. However, his troops suffered heavy losses after falling into the kingdom's army's trap. His followers suggested that they should retreat and regroup. Harold shrugged and wondered where Zest was. When he learned that he and his squad were missing, he realized that he had deliberately retreated and vowed to avenge him as soon as he saw him. After that, one of his guards entered and told him that the demons had begun to spread in the capital, forcing him to return and leave the camp and order his entire army to head to the capital to fight the demons. On the other side, Dominic decided to take advantage of the Empire's retreat and attack them. But he soon received a report that there were demons on the battlefield between the two sides and that they were hindering their forces. For a while, they thought that the demons were helping the Empire to retreat. But it was like hell in the capital of Balsia after Oliver turned a large number of people into demons and forced them to attack the capital, including his subordinate Miria, who felt stronger than she was, and Oliver decided to wait for the Empire's army to return to finish them all at once. A few days later, Harold returned to the Empire, furious at the devastation the demons had caused in his capital, and ordered his followers to finish the demons before sunset, as he would not allow any of them to remain in the Empire anymore. When he entered his room, he was surprised to see Oliver sitting on his throne and told him that he was waiting for him because he wanted to make sure that he took his life himself. And then he used his magical powers on Harold to paralyze him so that he would not escape the attack that would take his life, and succeeded in killing him. 3 days later, Dominic's forces arrived in the Empire and were surprised by the amount of devastation in the capital. As they wandered through the destruction, they were surprised to hear Oliver's voice welcoming them and telling them that he had been waiting for them. They realized that he was the one behind everything that happened here. He expressed his gratitude to them because they helped him eliminate the Empire's entire army thanks to their war with them. And Dominic realized that he was the one who instigated this war and ignited it between the two sides. Then they were surprised to see a large group of mutants heading towards them. A few days later, King Decium held a meeting about what happened during the war and did not believe that Oliver was still alive, so Dominic told him that they managed to escape miraculously and had no other choice. Afterward, word of Oliver's reappearance spread through the academy, and Master Alfred told his students that a royal order had been issued for them to undergo joint training with the cavalry training school in preparation for war if the army needed a boost in strength. Everyone felt that it would be very difficult for them to train with the knights because they rely heavily on honing their magical powers and don't do any physical strength training, and they would be ridiculed and bullied by the knights and vice versa. Shin suggested that they try to get along with them to complement each other, as everyone has strengths and weaknesses. When they remembered that he could use a sword, Cicely asked him if he had ever been trained by a knight before, and he told her that he was the former knight commander Michael. Tony and Julios were excited to learn about this and realized that he was lucky to be trained in magic and swordsmanship by the best in magic and swordsmanship. They found that the knight students would not be able to make fun of Shin as they do, but August thought that they might be jealous of him. Shin told them not to worry about the ridicule and to focus on their goal of improving their skills through training. The next day, the students were divided into 8 groups of 4 students from each school, and were tasked with practicing eliminating demons in the forest. The cavalryman watched Shin and his companions and thought he was just a pathetic magician like the rest of his classmates. As they traveled in a carriage towards the forest, Shin wanted to ask the cavalryman if any of them had ever fought a demon before. Miranda accused him of bragging because he had defeated a demon. He told her that he just wanted to warn them not to get into fights with each other while fighting demons. He tried to get the knights and mages to get along, but to no avail. Shin threatened them that they would die if they lost focus while fighting demons. Chris confidently told him to make sure he doesn't get in the way of him and his companions. August felt angry and told them that the main purpose of this training is to enhance communication between the two parties. And when he found that they are aware of this but not convinced of it, he told Shin to let the knights rely on themselves to get rid of the demons without the support of the mages. Then the knights felt confused and obeyed in front of him. And after they reached the depths of the forest, Shin was surprised that his team's training supervisors were Christina and Siegfried, and he asked them not to argue during the training. Then the rest began to gather around them and express their admiration for them. Shin wonders what he sees in front of him, but Cicely tells him that they are very popular at school as the king's bodyguards, and when they start to go deeper into the forest, Siegfried wonders why they decided to let the knights fight the demons alone at first. August tells him that they are the kind of people who are used to fighting on their own without needing help, and that he decided to do it so that they would know the importance of training, and that they are wrong. Although they are familiar with the training, Maria seems unconvinced. Maria is surprised that he suddenly turns to her and admits that she won't be able to do what Shin is doing without a knight's help since he was able to defeat 2 demons on his own. Siegfried approaches her and admires her honesty, saying that she knows her limitations, but she has to work hard to become stronger. Maria blushed while Miranda couldn't believe that Siegfried would behave like that. As time passed, Shin noticed that the knights were overly alert even though he couldn't sense any demons with his magic, so Siegfried told him that they were too tense. Suddenly, Shin senses the power of a nearby demon. Siegfried orders everyone to prepare to face the demon that is heading towards them, and then they are surprised by a huge wild boar rushing towards them at full speed. The knights are confused, but they quickly summon the courage to attack. Realizing the power of the demon, the boar was about to finish them off when Shin intervened and decapitated the boar in one fell swoop. Leaving the knights stunned, Christina scolded them and told them that this demon was the weakest compared to his predecessors, yet they could not take him down together due to their inexperience, calling them weak and ordering them to follow the rules of training in cooperation with wizards. Cicely took the initiative to use healing magic to heal them, and they felt grateful to her, and started fawning over her all the time, while Shin was jealous, and when August realized this, he suggested that he tell them to stay away from her outright. Siegfried then told them to stop messing around and get ready to face the next demon. When Shin used his ability, he found that a large group of demons were heading towards them, so Shin decided to take care of them alone, to everyone's amazement. Siegfried doesn't hesitate to honor his request and orders everyone to stand back while Shin decides to try out some abilities he hasn't had the chance to try before and causes a loud explosion that reaches the end of the forest and annihilates all the demons. Miranda went over to him to apologize for the insults she had given to the mages earlier, and that she realized their different levels. And when she apologized to Cicely, they blushed after she called him her lover, and she automatically told her that they weren't married yet, which only made things worse. As the group continues to make their way deep into the forest, the knights and wizards join forces to defeat the demons. And Siegfried and Christina realize that they have become stronger as a result of their harmony. Siegfried wanted to ask Shin how August and his companions were getting on with magic, and he told him that they had created a new study group and August was one of its members, training in the same way he had learned from Merlin and teaching them the way he envisioned magic. Siegfried was excited and wanted to join his group. Shin had no reason to refuse, but August objected and told him that since he worked for the military, he can't learn from him because the king promised to not use Shin's magic. Then he decided to keep Shin's power a secret because if it spread, it could cause the world to be destroyed by humans themselves, not demons. Shin was surprised by his exaggeration, but August told him that the country is in a state of emergency, especially after the recent outbreak of demonstrations. Siegfried wanted to know at least what kind of training Shin was undergoing. August told him it was just normal training and asked him if he thought he could really do it. Siegfried was excited to learn more and told him that all he had to do was control his magical power and constantly improve the amount he could control. August asks Maria and Cicely to make protective barriers in the same way they learned from Shin. And when Siegfried is surprised to see how strong their barriers are, August tells him that this will be the result of the fruits of his training in controlling his magic. Then Maria told him that they still had a lot to learn, as these barriers were nothing compared to Shin's barrier. So Siegfried decided to improve his magic control, and told Maria to trust herself more because her power is not negligible, which made her blush. And when it was time for them to return to the meeting point, Shin was curious to know what happened to the other teams. Meanwhile, Tony and his squad were heading deeper into the forest, and his teammates noticed that one of the knights named Julio seemed angry with him for some reason, and Julio expressed his displeasure that Tony had chosen to join the academy instead of the night school. The knights and mages didn't get along well with the other teams, and when they were attacked by demons, Julio decided to attack without waiting for the mages' support. But he ended up getting his arm eaten by a wolf demon, and the mages intervened to save him and finish them off amidst the supervisor's amazement. Tony tried to check on his friend, but found him pushing him away. His friends wondered why Julio was acting like this, and he told them that they used to get along very well in the past. He guessed that the reason for Julio's change in behavior was that a girl had confessed her love to him while Julio had a crush on her, and they dated for a while before they broke up. Alice, on the other hand, was having a hard time coping with the knights who were trying to woo them as if they were in the forest for a picnic, and when they got angry enough, they decided to use magic to attack them. but they ended up causing a loud explosion. In the evening, after all the teams returned, Shin was surprised to see Alice and the others in a pitiful state. After they told him what happened, he realized that they couldn't control their magic at a sufficient rate. So Julius told him that what mattered most was that they were able to exterminate the demons in the forests. When they asked him what happened to his team, Maria jokingly told them that he and Cicely were flirting all the time, then added that they managed to get along thanks to him. And Shin's mind wandered a little because he felt responsible for what would happen to the rest of them. August had to tell everyone the truth. The members of Shin's group, except for him, would be placed under national supervision after graduation and would likely draw the attention of other countries to the kingdom. Shin felt ashamed and apologized to everyone for changing their fate. But he found that some of them were not upset about it. On the contrary, they felt that their future was guaranteed after graduation since they would be working for the military. August told him that everything would be fine as long as they did not abuse their power, and that everyone trusted him to be the savior of their world. Shin was surprised that he was able to read his mind so easily since he was thinking of making his comrades stronger than they were before they joined the national unity. And after several days they all continued to practice combining their powers together under the supervision of Shin and August in a secret place. After that, August met with them and told them that starting today, they will no longer be considered commoners because he will tell them information about the demons that the commoners don't know, namely that they are causing chaos in the Balsvian Empire and have caused the death of many nobles and commoners there, so they will have to unite their powers to be able to defeat the demons in case they have to fight a war against them. Shin wondered if they were just going to sit back and watch even though they knew about it, and August replied that what's worse is that the number of demons increases every time they attack, which means that the victims who don't die are being turned into demons. Shin realizes that it's all Oliver's doing and wants to know what he's thinking by creating all these demons, since just one demon is enough to threaten the safety of the kingdom. So he decides to set up a training camp for his friends to undergo intensive training during the summer vacation. They wondered where they would stay after the end of the training and began to think about going to one of the noble lands. Thor suggested that they stay in his family's area for craftsmen, but August rejected the idea, as their area is an easy target for demons. In the evening, Shin went to tell his grandparents what he was going to do soon. Merlin felt that there was no harm in developing the abilities of others under the current circumstances, while Melinda scolded him for bringing together boys and girls of the same age under the same roof. Then she decided to accompany him to the camp herself to supervise them throughout the camp, as she wanted to make sure he didn't cause trouble there. When summer camp came, everyone got ready to leave with Melinda and Merlin. Shin wondered if the horses would be able to withstand a 2-day journey. They told him that the horses were equipped with reinforcement stones to help them regain their energy quickly. August told him that the stones were made by Melinda to make delivery and transportation easier for people. Melinda felt ashamed because they talked about her history and how useful she had been to humanity, and Merlin told them that she had never been able to accept compliments. In the evening, Shin woke up from his nap after sensing the power of demons in the area around him, and August told him that they were medium-class demons. And then a group of wolves appeared directly above them, and they all wanted to test their powers on demons. But the choice finally fell on Rin. The rest of them watched closely, and Rin managed to crush them effortlessly. The drivers were surprised at how strong they were, while Merlin was happy that everyone had succeeded in developing their magical skills. 2 days later, they reached the city of Claudia and were amazed that the entire town was shaped like a hot spring. Then they went to Cicely's house and were warmly welcomed by the servants, and everyone spent their time relaxing in the springs, which made Merlin feel as if he had been reborn. Then he expressed his gratitude to everyone for taking care of Shin, as he had never had friends his age. August then thanked him for finally finding a friend who treats him like a brother and not like the king's heir. And everyone started expressing their gratitude for what Shin did for them and helping them to become better. And Shin felt happy and expressed his gratitude to Merlin that he took the trouble to raise and train him. And Merlin could not control himself and started crying in an annoying voice as usual. The next day, the students began practicing magic control under the supervision of Merlin and Melinda, with Shin watching their progress and finding that the camp was going better than he expected, thanks to the help of Grandma and Grandpa. Over time, the students were able to cast magic without chanting, which meant a significant improvement in their powers, but Shin still felt that they would have difficulty against demons, and remembering Oliver's power, he decided that even he would have to become much stronger than his current level. After coming up with an idea to test his strength in a mountain, he ends up standing in front of all of them after they insist on joining forces and activating their barriers together in order to stop him. Frustrated that they were overreacting, Shin launched a thunderous attack at them and fired a massive projectile that caused massive damage to the area. Melinda slapped him and told him that he didn't need to use so much power, and he told her that he didn't expect that level of power. After the training was over, August asked him to take him to the castle through the gate to check if anyone had any new information about the demons. When they arrived at the castle, August was surprised to see his fiancée, Elizabeth, who seemed to be upset about something. But when she realized that Shin was with him, she greeted him properly and introduced herself as Duke Coral's second daughter. August wondered why she was here, and then she started complaining about him leaving her and his sister May behind to go camping. Then May appeared out of nowhere and started scolding August for not taking her to the camp even though he knew she was a big fan of Melinda. Shin was surprised because he didn't know he had a fiancée and a younger sister. When May noticed him, she introduced herself after she calmed down a bit. He asks her to think of him as a brother because he considers himself August's cousin. May is happy to have another brother who is better than August. When they express their desire to accompany them to the camp, August refuses, telling them that the camp is not for play. May and Elizabeth escalated the matter to his father, who questioned why August wouldn't take them to the camp since they wouldn't have any trouble with Merlin and Melinda. And the girls prevailed, leaving August with no reason to refuse. Shin then transported them to Spring City through the portal, and they were surprised at the idea of being transported from one place to another in less than a second. After they arrived, August told them not to get lost wandering around by themselves, as this was a training camp and he wouldn't have enough time to spend with them. Elizabeth tells him that she's here to make sure he doesn't mess with anyone while he's at the springs. Shin thinks she's jealous of the idea of having girls at the camp, but he's shocked when she tells him that he's the person she doesn't trust the most because August talks about him all the time. August explains that he's just happy to have a friend with whom he feels at home, and Shin already has a girlfriend. So Shin is surprised that he and Elizabeth are talking about him without warning, and at the same time he can't deny the feelings he has for her. August tells him that it's time for him to decide the nature of his relationship with her. He asks him how he knows if Cicely has feelings for him. August replies that he can tell just by watching and asks him if he's hesitating because he lacks courage or if he's unsure of his feelings for her. When they returned to the others, Shin couldn't hide his confusion at the sight of Cicely, and to make matters worse, May admired them and told them that they made a great couple. Shin then takes them to meet Melinda and tells her that May has a huge crush on her. Melinda humbly shakes her hand and says that she likes spending time with the girls because they're cool, unlike Shin. And Yuri and Olivia agree. While Shin was frustrated with them, Cicely wanted to defend him and told them, but she ended up blurting out that she wanted to have cool kids like him and ran inside after being caught. In the middle of the night, Shin was outside looking at the sky when he noticed that Cicely was sitting near him, so he went to sit next to her and told her that he wanted to relax for a while away from the springs. And then there was silence between them for a while before she apologized for what happened earlier. He told her that he was flattered by what she said and asked her if she remembered their first meeting. She told him about the day she and Maria were being bullied by a group of bullies and that since then he had done nothing but help her. He told her that he felt like he had been struck by lightning when he first saw her and gradually began to reveal his feelings to her. He was surprised when she told him that she thought he was handsome, so he gathered the courage to tell her that he loved her, which made her feel so happy that she cried and then told him that she felt the same way. Just as Shin was about to kiss her, they were interrupted by a noise and it turned out that everyone had been eavesdropping on them all this time. Shin was furious, and August justified his behavior by saying that he had to make sure that he would tell her how he really felt since he was the one who had encouraged him to do so. His grandparents were so impressed with the way he was talking to her that they had no choice but to make their engagement official in front of everyone. A servant appeared from the grass and suggested that they have a party for the occasion. August approached Shin and congratulated him on his relationship and warned him not to let his guard down and not to neglect training for any reason, which made Shin wonder why he was encouraging him to tell her at first. The next day, Shin decided to start a new type of magic training and asked everyone to wear swimsuits because the training would be a beach ball game where they would use their magic only on the ball according to the rules of the game. When the game started, Shin was shocked to find Alice flying too high to smash the ball into the opposing team's ground, but Olivia managed to hit the ball before it fell, and Tony almost scored a point for his team. But August used his wind magic to bring it back to them. The two teams continued to try to score a point until Yuri failed to block the ball and August managed to get a point. Shin marveled that everyone seemed to be overly excited while May was furious and wanted to join them in the game. The ball almost hit her in the face, but Elizabeth was able to dodge it and Merlin used his barrier to stop the ball. And when Alice apologized for being overly excited, Melinda scolded her, but Merlin intervened and told them that one must measure both the magical control and the return at the same time. The students played until they were exhausted. In the evening, they all sat in the room chatting. Shin asked each of them how they first met August and Elizabeth, and when he found that most of them had met them at the age of 5. He told them that when he was 5, he used to hunt deer in the woods. August then remembered his first encounter with Elizabeth, who rejected him when he offered her friendship, which impressed him because she was the only person who didn't try to flatter him because of his status, and from then on he became interested in her, and Elizabeth felt ashamed and asked him to stop. While they were talking, Melinda burst in to tell them to be quiet after they made her uncomfortable, but she found them already asleep when they were basically hiding under the covers waiting for her to leave. Meanwhile, Shin is lying right on top of Cicely, and when he sees her in pain, he apologizes for being heavy, but she tells him that's not what's bothering her. He realizes where his hand is and quickly lifts himself up to apologize to her. Unfortunately, he ends up trapped by Melinda, who thinks he's trying to do it with Cicely and soon discovers that everyone is hiding. Shin woke up the next day, still remembering what happened between him and Cicely yesterday, which caused him to feel restless, and as he was walking down the hallway, he came across her coming out of her room, and when their eyes met, They felt confused before saying hello to each other. He wanted to get out of the situation and told her that they had to go to the dining room immediately. But before he left, he found Cicely telling him that she had a favor to ask, which was to announce their relationship to her parents before they left the house. Shin didn't mind, and when he went with her to meet her parents, he felt awkward as soon as he sat in front of them. But he quickly gathered his courage and told them that he was dating their daughter and asked them to approve it. And the tension soon turned into surprise when he found her father holding his hand and thanking him for choosing his daughter to date. His wife told him to go back to his seat and then asked Shin a question before agreeing to date her daughter. She told him that their family is a noble family and it is not allowed in noble families for a girl to date a young man without a betrothal. Shin was confused when he realized that he would have to get engaged to Cicely in order to date her, but he had no objections. And Cicely's mother blessed the engagement, after which they joined their companions in magic training. While Shin watched his friends perform with Elizabeth and May, Merlin joined them and offered both girls the chance to try casting magic. Elizabeth apologized and embarrassedly told him that she knew she wasn't ready to use magic, while May was eager to give it a try. Merlin began to teach her the basics of using magic and was impressed by her great magical power. Melinda told her that she had the potential to become a witch in the future. When Alice and Rin joined them, they were inspired by May's power, and Rin wanted to release a magical force but ended up exploding after she lost control. Melinda tells them that they need to keep practicing magic before May steals the spotlight from them, and the girls start to get jealous of her, causing her to retreat and hide behind Shin. August is surprised that she chose to hide behind him instead of her brother, and when he gets angry, Shin realizes that everyone here is weird. On the other hand, Oliver wanted to check how things were going outside. And Miria told him that most of the cities in the Empire are suffering from food shortages after they started attacking caravans on the roads recently, and the people's opposition is increasing, so he realized that it's only a matter of time before the country goes into a state of revolt. On the other hand, Shin felt frustrated as he stood in front of his comrades, who had all rallied and used protective barriers simultaneously for fear of his magical attack during training. He told them that this time it wouldn't be dangerous, which made them increase the strength of the barriers. Then he grabbed a rock and told them that it was not a magical attack. Then he charged the rock with his magical energy until he controlled it remotely and made it fly in front of them. And everyone was amazed at what they saw in front of them. And he told them that what he was doing is called floating magic, which is to make the rock in front of him without gravity. He then put the rock aside and used the float magic on himself, which made him levitate in front of them as if his soul was ascending to the sky. Then he used wind magic to be able to move in the air, and Cicely admired his abilities, while May asked him to teach her this ability. In the evening, Shin had to confess to his grandparents that he got engaged to Cicely so he could date her, and Cicely told them that it was her fault for wanting to tell her parents, but Melinda told them that it wasn't surprising because she had seen it coming. Then she decided to go to Cicely's house to settle something before the news spread to the public. Shin realized what his grandmother was going to do, and when they all went to the house, her parents couldn't believe that they were standing in front of the wise and wise heroes. Merlin and Melinda decide to tell them that Shin is not their real grandson in case they agreed to the engagement for that reason. When she asks them if they are still okay with his engagement to their daughter, Cicely's father tells her that he is disappointed, but the reason he agreed to the engagement in the first place is that Shin has done his best to protect their daughter, and has given her value above all else. Merlin and Melinda realized that they weren't bad people and apologized to them for having a bad opinion of them beforehand. Cicely then told Shin that she loved him for who he was, not because he was the grandson of the heroes, since she fell in love with him at first sight before she knew he was their grandson. Shin felt grateful to the three of them and promised her family that he would protect her with all his strength. Then thanked Merlin and Melinda for taking care of him as a child and told him he was proud to be their grandson. The next day, Shin gave his classmates their school uniforms after he gave them his magical powers and added camouflage magic to help them hide when needed. Then he thought that their defensive strength was enough to deter any attack and made August feel that they would move to a more dangerous level of training from now on. So Shin told them that he was thinking about doing some combat training and decided to have them go against demons and defeat them, and told them that they would be fine with their clothes. Cicely then felt the power of a large demon near them, and when it appeared in front of them in the form of a lion, Shin told them that it had more strength but was slower in movement compared to a tiger. Then he divided the tasks among them and chose 5 to go to face the demon lion at once. So they decided to put their trust in him and attack the lion, and they succeeded in taking it down after their abilities caused a loud explosion that made Shin realize that it was a little exaggerated. The rest of them couldn't believe that they could actually defeat a demon. The training continued like this until they all had no trouble defeating demons of all kinds, and Shin realized that everyone was ready to move on to a more difficult level of training. A few days later, Shin was getting ready for his engagement party with Cicely. As he was checking his suit, she entered the room wearing an elegant dress that made him admire how cute she looked in it. She blushed and told him he looked good in formal wear. Just as they were about to kiss, they were interrupted by the entrance of Cicely's mother. who told them to go to the dining room. Cicely grabbed his arm and together they went to the dining room to find everyone waiting to celebrate them, and King Decium blessed the engagement and made it official. A few days later, all the students succeeded in learning the magic of buoyancy and became levitating thanks to their magic-enhanced suits. Shin, who was watching their training, was proud that things were going well with everyone. He communicated with them via a device he had recently invented to tell them it was time to return. But Alice told him they hadn't reached their goal yet. August thought that Shin's communication device and speaker could be useful later, and Thor told him that they could use them for his inauguration in the future. In the Empire of Balsvia, Oliver made sure that the last city that stood against his followers had fallen, and the entire empire was suffering from famine due to lack of food, giving him the opportunity to turn as many commoners into demons by taking advantage of their desperation and poverty to take revenge on the nobles. Oliver then gathered all his followers and told them that thanks to their efforts, he had succeeded in leading the empire to ruin and thought that there was nothing more to do now that he had succeeded in overthrowing the empire. But they told him that they should continue to move forward and conquer neighboring lands until they could take over the entire world. He wondered why they would keep doing such a boring thing. One of his followers told him that they could create their own demon kingdom with so many soldiers. Oliver told him that he was free to pursue his own ambitions, but he wouldn't allow him to impose his opinion on him. Oliver turns to the others and tells them they can leave if they want to, and Zest wonders if it's really okay to let them go. Oliver told him that he had already accomplished his goal of overthrowing the empire, and didn't care about anything else. Maria was curious to know why he was so hostile to the empire, especially since he was a duke and on his way to becoming governor. He told her that it all started when he was still known as Oliver and told her that in the past he practiced his work as a duke by supervising agriculture and ensuring the quality of the soil and crops, and he succeeded over time in increasing the size of the fields. But due to the shortage of labor, he decided to allow workers from other regions to stay in the empire in exchange for work. And while he was thinking of a way to compensate for the lack of labor in various fields, he found one of his followers asking him why he always treats the commoners with kindness. He told him that as a young man he was shocked in a foreign country when he traveled to it and found that the commoners live a peaceful and normal life, and are not treated like slaves as in the empire. And then he decided that this is what the empire should be in the future, where their people live a peaceful life without slavery or oppression. And the country that caused him to inspire this idea was the kingdom of Airshield. In the evening, Oliver sat in his office reviewing some papers and found his wife Aria telling him that he should take some rest. So he approached her and told her that she should take care of her health for the sake of the baby. On the other side, Governor Harold and his entourage had decided to summon Oliver to the capital as he was a nuisance because he had caused many commoners from other provinces to leave to work for him and that he would end up ruling in his place. The empire continued to prosper, so he decided to get him. They decided to summon him to the capital and deceive him because they wanted to conduct studies and research for the prosperity of the other provinces. The next day, Oliver was happy to receive a summons to the capital, and was excited by the idea that the nobles wanted to listen to his ideas and implement them empire-wide and thought they wanted to preserve their positions by contributing to the prosperity of the country. Aria was worried for some reason and warned him that there might be some nobles who were out to get him. He told her that he was strong in magic and no one could hurt him, plus he was a former demon hunter. A few days later, the disappearances of women and children began to increase in the empire, and while everyone was talking about it, the government began to frame Oliver and convince the public that he was taking victims and selling them as slaves. At first, the public couldn't believe it, but it made sense since he was collecting labor for his territory. And it also justified his behavior towards treating the commoners with kindness, which is unusual for someone of his stature. 2 months later, Oliver decides to return to his territory after his work in the capital because his wife is about to give birth, and Harold decides it's time to destroy him. The next day, his followers put some kidnapped girls in his carriage heading to the territory and expose him in front of everyone to prove his guilt. And soon the public turns against him and decides to remove him from his position. In the meantime, Aria heard a noise outside the house, and when she looked, she was shocked to see a large number of people standing in front of the house, throwing torches at the house and setting it on fire. On the other hand, Oliver was on his way back, excited to meet his wife again. But he was soon surprised to see his mansion burning in the distance, and he shuddered at the thought of Aria being caught in the fire. Oliver rushed towards the mansion, but unfortunately he was unable to save his wife in time and was shocked to learn that it was the commoners who set his mansion on fire and killed his wife and son. And when he asked them why, they told him that they wanted revenge for his heinous behavior by kidnapping people and selling them as slaves. Oliver denied that he had ever done such a thing, but no one believed him because of the evidence they had seen with their own eyes through the military police. He told them that the police would not allow civilians to be escorted under any circumstances, nor would he transport slaves in such a naive way as putting them in his own carriage. Oliver realizes that they have made a huge mistake against him, while Oliver realizes the plan against him before he becomes the ruler and contributes to the prosperity of the public life. and he soon realizes that behind this plot is Harold himself, and then he decides to take revenge on everyone and uses his magical power after he is overcome by hatred and turns into a demon to cause an explosion on the largest scale that wipes out everyone around him until he stands in the place alone, vows to make Harold pay for what he has done. After Oliver finished telling his story to his followers, they understood why he wanted to destroy the Empire. And Zest thought he needed a new goal to keep him from losing his passion for life, so he tasked Lawrence to gather the demons who had left to launch an attack on the Kingdom of Sweden, which borders Airshield, to lure Shin. Lawrence was concerned that he wanted to lure the person who had already defeated their master, but Zest told him that Oliver would be the most suitable target now that he was completely free. So Lawrence realized what he was getting at and decided to go ahead with the plan. On the other hand, everyone attended August's enthronement ceremony by his father to be officially crowned as the Prince of the Kingdom, and he swore to devote his entire life to the kingdom and its people. And then one of the guards told them that a number of demons had appeared in the Kingdom of Sweden, and the news caused panic among the public. August calmed the atmosphere and told everyone that he would take over the demons in the neighboring kingdom. Then he introduced Shin to the people as the hero who defeated a demon in the past, and that he is the reason for the development and strengthening of all the students of the Magic Academy, making them qualified to face any demon. And he took off his robe and decided that they would all head to the neighboring kingdom to take over the demons amid cheers from the public. In the Kingdom of Sweden, the troops were working to evacuate the citizens before the demons reached their lands, but they were soon surprised to see a large group of more than 100 demons heading towards them, and they had no choice but to defend the borders with everything they had until support from Airshield arrived. On the other side, Shin and his companions reached the border of the kingdom in a short time thanks to the magic of flight, and asked Cicely to take care of the injured and distributed tasks to the rest to divide into pairs and get rid of the demons by combining their strength together. In the meantime, the demons began to wreak havoc in the kingdom after they were able to bypass the military and continued to attack civilians and destroy buildings until everyone was in a state of panic. As one of the demons was about to kill a woman and her daughter, Shin intervened just in time and blocked the blow. The demon was furious and told him not to get too cocky. He's only human after all, but he was soon finished after Shin used one of his weakest abilities and wiped him out. Thor then took the woman and her daughter to a safe place. After they left, he felt angry at the destruction of the place. Meanwhile, August gave a speech to the people of Sweden and assured them that he and his companions were strong enough to eliminate the demons and would cooperate with the royal guard of the country. Then he addressed the demons and told them that they have no chance against them because the hero Shin is in the ranks of his forces. They became angry, while the public began to cheer and encourage Shin and his companions. After the end of the speech, Shin asked Cicely to take care of the injured in the medical area. And while they were talking, Lawrence was watching him closely and was curious to test his strength. After that, Alice and Rin went to where the demon they sensed was, and as soon as they stood in front of him, he started mocking them and calling them children, which angered Alice, who was about to turn him into ashes, but Rin intervened in time and extinguished her flame. Then she scolded her and told her not to let her anger make her act indiscriminately in the midst of their fight with the demons. Alice calmed down and told her that she would control her temper more, and when she turned towards the demon, she was shocked to see him dead. And Rin told her that she had already defeated him with a mixture of water and sand. Alice felt sorry for him, but Rin told her that they are demons now, not humans, and the fact that they shed blood for fun makes them more evil than anything else. As they talked, they were surprised to hear a screaming sound nearby. In the meantime, a demon was torturing one of the Swedish soldiers, and when he started to get rid of him, the two girls appeared in front of him and used their shields to block his magical attack. When the demon called them children, Alice was furious again and didn't hesitate to set him on fire until he was completely reduced to ashes. They pick him up and take him to the aid station, but he feels ashamed of himself and tells them that he can go alone and expresses his gratitude before leaving. They decide to continue hunting demons, and Rin challenges Alice to see who can catch the most demons. On the other side, Thor and Julius were able to take care of two demons that appeared in front of them. When Thor wanted to question them to make sure they were working for Oliver, they refused to divulge any information and tried to harm them. But they soon ended up succumbing to the power of Thor and Julius, and one of them felt frustrated that despite their sheer numbers, they failed to bring down the kingdom. Then Thor realized that he was one of the commoners of the Empire, and when he asked him why they were destroying neighboring countries, he told him that it was because they were demons and could not do anything but hate everything around them after the nobles took everything from them. Then he began to lose control of himself as he swore to destroy the lives of all those who live safely behind walls, which made Julius feel angry and vowed to get rid of him himself. In the meantime, some demons managed to find the aid station and decided to target him to get rid of easy prey. Mark stood in front of them and told them that he would not let them pass a single step. And when they started attacking him, Olivia intervened and together they succeeded in eliminating them effortlessly, while Shin was facing dozens of demons alone and continued to crush them one by one, which made the demons' self-confidence shake. Although they decided not to let a human beat them. Lawrence, meanwhile, is shocked by what he sees in front of him, as Shin's strength exceeds his expectations and realizes that he is indeed strong enough to defeat Oliver, and thinks to find a weakness in him. even though he doubts he has one. Meanwhile, August and Maria were confronted by a violent demon that was aiming to decapitate August, thinking that he was the leader of the squad and that this would destabilize the team and force them to retreat. But before he could take a single step, Maria launched a fire attack on him. The demon used 2 corpses to block her and told her that he wanted to make her his girlfriend after he liked her and introduced himself as Fabro. Then he lunged at her for a crushing punch, but he was surprised that she didn't get a scratch thanks to her clothes. He grabbed her and threw her away until she hit a building and destroyed a large part of it. When he found that she was not damaged, he realized that the secret lies in her clothes and decided to target the areas that are not covered by fabric. Maria accepted the challenge and started shooting flame balls at him. But unfortunately Fabro was able to block them thanks to the magic wand he stole from one of the Swedish soldiers, so they felt they were in trouble after he got a wand with Shin's defense magic. They decided to attack him from different places, but Fabro was able to fend them off, and as time went on, he began to worry about their non-stop use of magic. But he continued to fight them until the protective barrier collapsed and he was hit by a huge ball of flame from Maria. Then he found her standing behind him to tell him that magical tools do not work after the bearer loses his concentration. And before he could do anything, August made a hole in the middle of his body, which made him fall dead immediately. And August felt regret that he ended up like that and wished he had been born an air shield. And on the other side, the king of Sweden was watching what was happening in his country from the palace balcony, and Merlin and Melinda were with him. Lawrence was angered by the thought that Shin's companions were all equally powerful, and that there was no way to win against them. Zest decided to order Lawrence to retreat and keep the remaining demons to reassess the situation and let Miria take care of them. Just when the others thought the battle was over, a loud explosion hits the kingdom's gate, and Miria appears amidst the flames, sweeping through the gate and intending to wipe out anyone who gets in her way. Cicely takes care of the injured and treats them well. Then she is surprised by a woman who rushes to her and begs her to come and check on her husband. And when she accompanies her, she finds that her husband has a deep wound that won't stop bleeding. On the other side, the Swedish soldiers realized that they couldn't stop Miria as they had done with the others. And just as she was about to finish them off, Alice and Rin appeared out of nowhere and intercepted her attack just in time. They attacked her together. Alice thought she could easily take her down, but a surprise attack soon damaged her, so she used healing magic to heal herself. When Miria realized that their clothes contained enhanced magic, she preferred to fight at close range. When Rin started to unleash her magic on Alice, she used Alice as a shield to force her to stop, realizing that she was a demon on a different level than the others. On the other side, Lawrence was ordered to retreat with his followers. Before the demons could retreat, they were attacked by Shin, and the rest fled towards the wall. But Shin decided not to let them escape and fired a blazing laser beam at all the demons in front of him. But 2 managed to escape alive. Shin wanted to follow them but noticed that there were loud explosions hitting a certain area. Meanwhile, Rin had a hard time fighting Miria alone while Tony and Yuri watched closely until they decided to surprise her with a rear attack. Miria senses their presence and throws Alice towards them to take the damage for her, but she uses the protective barrier just in time and ends up colliding with Yuri. And before Tony realizes it, Miria sneaks up behind him and delivers a deadly blow that knocks him out. She then tightened her grip on Rin, which made Alice furious, and when she aimed her next attack at Tony, she rushed towards him to block it. But she couldn't hold on for long because of her various attacks, and Miria soon managed to take them all down. Shin appeared holding his sword, and when he saw his comrades in a pitiful state, he felt angry towards her while Miria did not hesitate to attack to test his strength, and they began to exchange attacks against each other and Shin managed to tear part of her robe, which made her surprised that she is slow for him despite her speed of movement. Shin decides to retreat, and when Lawrence puts an ice barrier between them, Miria thinks to get rid of his comrades at once and prepares to launch a giant ball of magic at them. But Shin has no choice but to block it with everything he has to protect them. After he successfully blocked Miria's magic, he was surprised that they had done so in order to have a chance to escape and was relieved to find that everyone was okay. Thor told him that Miria's power was different from the others and guessed that she might be a former soldier or a hunter. Shin notices that Oliver isn't here with his followers, so they didn't suffer much against the demons. And August wonders why they attacked in the first place, then tells the others to keep looking around for the demons. Meanwhile, Lawrence and Miria were on their way back to the Empire, and she told him that Zest was the one who gave her the time to escape. Lawrence was furious that they lost so many pawns in their fight against Shin and his companions, while Oliver was excited to have another fight against Shin soon. In the evening, Shin and August went to the medical area to check on Cicely, but the guards told them that she was still taking care of the injured inside, so they went inside and met Mark and Olivia, who told them that they were able to take care of the demons here. August asked them to hire other healers besides Cicely and the others. Meanwhile, Cicely was trying her best to save the wounded man, but he ended up dead and she failed to heal him and had to tell his wife that healing magic doesn't cure everything. Suddenly it occurred to her to take off all her clothes and give them to the injured man so that he could receive a huge amount of healing magic. But Shin intervened to stop her and told her that even the healing magic imbued in her costume would not heal his injury, so he decided to try to help him one last time. Shin used his superpowers to heal him and was surprised that he was still alive thanks to Cicely's ability. Minutes later, Shin successfully treated the man's injuries and told his wife that he would be fine in time. As Shin was on his way out, he found Cicely clinging to him from behind, crying and feeling ashamed that she always relied on him and he helped her every time, and she told him that she hated herself. So he told her that this is not true because the man would have ended up dead without her efforts and she helped many others. Shin admired her ability to save all those people and considered her a saint. After the battle was officially over, the King of Sweden met the band and expressed his gratitude to them on behalf of his people. August asked him why Oliver had sent his followers to attack the kingdom for no reason even though he had overthrown the empire. He guessed it might be a diversionary attack, but he couldn't say for sure what his intentions were. The king decides not to relax his defense of the demons, and August formally offers to form an alliance between the two kingdoms to form a united front against the demons. But the king tells him to give him time to discuss it with the leaders. After exiting the king's chamber, Shin tells him that it's easy to come back here through the portal, and together they decide to dedicate their powers to protecting the world. Shin then used the portal to return to Airshield with his companions to celebrate their success against the demons and found Grandpa and Grandma waiting to give them some compliments on a job well done, while August gave his father a report on the battle and what happened afterward. After that, August suggested that Decium make him his negotiator with other countries, and the king did not hesitate to agree after he succeeded in making an agreement with the King of Sweden, and August officially became responsible for traveling and negotiating with other countries around the world. Shin then looked at Merlin and Melinda, who allowed him to accompany August to explore the entire world during his journey. Oliver, on the other hand, expressed his displeasure with what happened in the Kingdom of Sweden and told his followers that he had already warned them about Shin, but he did not intend to stop interfering with him. Zest realized that his plan had succeeded in giving Oliver a new purpose in luring Shin, and decided not to ignore his power in the future. The next day, Shin said goodbye to his grandfather and grandmother before setting off on a journey with his band, and then they all used the magic of flight to fly together in the sky in front of everyone and start traveling through other countries and forming alliances.